Hello and welcome to Wake Up with Awakened Youth, day number 21. And today I felt it was great to talk about the eternal importance of love. Now, in our mainstream culture, love is defined in many ways, and it can get quite confusing as to what love is. I've experienced being in this frequency of divine love where everything is awesome and I feel completely unconditionally loved and appreciated and recognized by life. And there's been times where I felt disconnected from this love and I was in doubt. I was in doubt of what this love was. I didn't believe that love existed. It was just this idea, right? And throughout my journeys, I've seen that love is this energy that binds people and places and things in such a way that it allows these things to work together harmoniously to create the best possible outcome for everyone involved. I know that when you can bring from inside of yourself this energy of appreciation and love for what is going on, regardless of the circumstances, unconditional divine love where you bring out your best stuff as if no matter what's going on right now, I'm going to love this, right? I'm going to love what's going on, regardless of how good or bad it may seem in the moment. And when we can bring this to the world will inevitably reflect it back. Maybe not instantaneously, but with consistency, it brings it back. I've had a question about what is it that sustains a person's life? What is it that sustains the good, the true, and the beautiful? Because in the mainstream, again, we see a lot of decay. We see a lot of entropy, a lot of things breaking down, a lot of death. And what is it that sustains life, right? Because if you look at nature, nature's always sustaining itself. Yet somehow mainstream society is destroying itself. So therefore, mainstream society must be disconnected from something that's going on in nature that allows nature to sustain itself. To just go on a tangent here, if you look at nature, nature works in a way that's interwoven, as in every little thing, if it's going to survive in the wild, it must be part of a larger ecosystem that supports it. So its own existence supports the existence of everything else, and everything else supports its existence. And so working harmoniously, right? So this question of what is divine love? What is this love? What is the importance of love? The eternal importance of love. So imagine that there's this invisible energy that exists within all things. And when you invoke it, it causes that thing to flourish and to be sustained. What you love will be sustained. What you put your energy into will be sustained, right? It can be very, again, I've experienced this relationship with this love energy. Like when someone who's a loved one tells you that they love you, what is that love? What do they mean? What does that mean when they say they love you, right? The more I've gone on, it's about looking out for the people in your life. It's about looking out for yourself. And it's about looking out for what's going on in the world and the life around you and choosing to be in support of its well-being. I heard a great quote once that was about how that the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is apathy. And in our culture, we see a lot of apathy, a lot of people no longer caring about life. And I suppose it's pretty easy to define love, what love is, by what it's not, right? So let's look at all the things that love is not. Love is not apathy. When you're in a state of apathy, you're checked out of life. Love is that which sustains life. So that which is against life is the opposite of love, right? I'm feeling this conversation is not necessarily going in the direction of logic, but of love, right? All right. I had a conversation with my mother. She just graduated from 33 years of teaching at college. It's pretty awesome. Both my parents are now retired. And it's a great opportunity to return to what love is. You know, love is more than just romantic attraction. It's this appreciation of life, right? And appreciation in its fullest sense, as in what you appreciate, appreciates. It's this appreciation for life. It's this appreciation for being, for existence. So the more you bring this appreciation, this joyous appreciation and presence and love for what is, the more it shall flourish. So I'll start with that. That's a good definition. Is love is the joyous appreciation and presence with what is. That's a really good place to start. I like that definition. When you love something, you joyously appreciate it and you are willing to be present with it. If you really love something, you joyously appreciate it and you become present with it. Just like a kid or a plant or a cat or a garden or a forest or a person. You joyously appreciate that person and you are present with them. You listen to them as they are. And this is also important to love yourself, right? They always say it's important to love yourself. So that means to joyously appreciate who you are and to be present with yourself. And an expression of love is often an action that comes from this place of joyous appreciation and presence with it in a way that sustains its existence in life and well-being. For me, when I was young, I knew that for me, I really clearly understood what love was, because I was like, okay, when I love someone, I want the highest and best for this person no matter what, and it's unconditional, which means my own. It's not about what I get out of it. It's just about unconditionally being like, whatever you're doing, I support what's good for you and what's best for you. You do you. I love you and appreciate you just the way you are. All right. Yes, the internal importance of love. If we are going to see in this culture and this society, I'm an American, freedom for all, baby. Land of the brave and free. I dig that. So if America, which has a lot of tendrils going out into the world, is going to sustain itself, it's got to be connected to love, because love sustains, and what's not love is that which has entropy, right? And right now we're seeing a lot of entropy in our mainstream culture, as in things are breaking down, things are not sustaining themselves, and the vital life force energy that is within seems to be going out. And that can be easily explained by a lack of love, right? There's divisiveness. There's a line put straight down the center of our people, of our culture. Black versus white, good versus bad, left wing versus right wing, liberal versus conservative, versus, going against. And it's inevitable at some point that we're going to have to return to this divine love. And by divine love, I don't mean any religious connotation. I mean purely that life force, joyous appreciation which sustains life. Like how a gardener has love for the plants and cultivates the garden so that it may flourish, right? Or how a mother has love for the child and wants the best for the child, right? And as long as we're caught up in fear and hatred and divisiveness and separation, as in we feel separate from each other, we feel separate from ourselves, we feel separate from nature, we are against nature, we are against ourselves, we are against each other. As long as we're operating in that kind of mode, then we will see entropy. And entropy is inevitable because it cuts off the sustaining source of life force energy, which again is love, the joyous appreciation and presence with what is. It's like you can imagine that a plant that grows next to one plant, and if you really joyously love and appreciate and be present with one plant, and you neglect the other one, the one that you nourish with your presence and your joyous appreciation is going to grow much more. So another phrase is where energy goes, or where focus goes, energy flows. Another idea is that the opposite of love is fear. And as long as we're in fear, we are not in a state of joyous appreciation and presence. We are actually in a state of separation and ignorance. We blind ourselves off. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. It doesn't exist. And if we treat our problems like that, then they're going to fester like an open sore, as they do. So those are just some thoughts on the importance of eternal love, the eternal importance of love. And the more and more I go, I see that this really is important. Jimi Hendrix once said that there will be peace on earth when the power of love overcomes the love of power, which I find very interesting. One last thought while you're with me is it seems like a lot of the problems that are going on this planet are because of men seeking power and control, which is really a lot of boys feeling like they didn't get enough love or respect growing up, and they feel like they need this power in order to get the love and respect they want. And thus, when we're operating in separation, which is really fear and divisiveness, now we're seeing in politics and this greater worldview of people acting in these divisive, destructive ways. We see the natural effect of entropy and things breaking down, right? Because if our politicians, if our representatives, if our corporations were all working in alignment with joyous appreciation and presence with what is, as in nature and our indigenous cultures, and all of this and our people and all of that, we probably would be seeing some pretty different decisions being made in office, right? So in some levels, it's all of us coming back to this remembrance of love, this remembrance of what's good and true and beautiful. And as long as we're separate from that, we'll continue to see that, right? So it's very important for us, especially as an individual. We're each individuals as we are parts of a collective. We're a person with our own inner world as we are part of a collective. So as a person, as an individual, it's so important to reconnect with your own source of divine love, which is your ability to joyously appreciate and be present with what's going on in your life. And the more you can reconnect with that inside, the more inevitably you'll start to see the reflection on the outside. And so the more people that are reconnecting to this love that sustains life, that sustains the good and the true and the beautiful in life, the more we'll start to see it in the mainstream culture, in television, in our corporations. It's all about where people are coming from, the state of consciousness. That's huge. Everything we see in the world outside is a reflection of what's going on inside, the psychology and the inner state of being that people are coming from. It determines the kind of foods people eat. It determines the kind of choices people make. It determines whether or not someone's going to fight or to choose to forgive. All the wars we see are the result of a psychological phenomenon of fear manifested in action. So the more we can get what's going on inside in alignment with what is eternal and sustaining of life, the more we'll see that in the world. And further from that, we express it through our actions. And from this place of expansive love, we bring that into our actions and act in alignment with that which sustains life. And that's how love will change the world.